Good morning, Pinkerly here from Time to Be Creative. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm doing part 2 of Dry Brushing Ceramic Snow People. I finished up the little boy, and today on camera I'm going to do the little girl. And yeah, I guess that's about it. I have my coffee ready. I have my paints out. But other than that, I'm not sure where this will go. Okay, kids, we're ready. Now, the last video, I said I would finish up the boy snow person and come back and do the little girl on camera. So what I did to finish him up, as I continued dry brushing, I decided to do him in green. I didn't like that I had, you'll see on the snow girl, I did her edging of her outfit in white, and you really couldn't tell the difference between the snowbank and the, the edging on the outfits. So what I did is when I did him in green, dry brushed him, highlighted him a little bit. Oh goodness, it never fails. Nobody ever calls. The dogs are going crazy now, the phone. Excuse me. So what I did was it'll stop. Usually it picks up. Oh my goodness. I apologize. Can you tell I'm fairly new at this? So what I did was I just added a little white to my green and made a lighter green color and dry brushed the edging of his outfit, which I think that's a little better. The little snowbank stands out more. And then I just did the tree brown. The little snow person on his sweater or his jacket, I painted that. I didn't dry brush it. It's so small. I don't have any really mini dry brush paint brushes. So I just painted him real tiny. And then I put a gold paint, acrylic paint on his star. Now this guy needs to be sealed with an acrylic spray. So I'm not sure how sparkly that star will remain, but I might, hit that with some more gold after I spray the piece. And then just to finish off the scarf, I just painted in some white lines because I wanted them to really pop. They're kind of like grooved in there on the piece. I did highlight his nose with some Hot Shot. Well, it used to be called Hot Shot Fiery Red. Maybe that was a different brand, but I like this Americano Fiery Red Neon color. Especially like if you're doing painting on wood and you want to highlight some red and really make it pop, that neon fiery red works great. You might be able to see a little bit of it here because I did his little earmuffs and his gloves red. And that's about it for him because we had done his cheeks and his eyes, just highlighted his nose. Now, I had a little happy accident with the little girl, so I'll tell you what idea that has given me, that little happy accident. So here she is. All we had done on her was just the white. I did start to do her in blue, and then I went back and listened to my first video and realized I promised to do the boy off camera and the girl on camera. So I quickly stopped and switched over and finished him up. But what happened was I do a lot of different crafts. I'm really into, well, I just like it all. That's the problem with me. But I was working on some junk journals, and I was spattering and jelly plating some paper. And of course, I've said on other videos, my work area really generally is a mess. So I was spattering, and when I picked her up to work on her, she had little white speckled marks all over her, where when I had sprayed and worked on another project. She was sitting too close and she got slammed. So I'm telling you that because, number one, I painted black over top of it, so it's fine. So we're good to go. But it gave me an idea to maybe spatter these pieces after I have them finished. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to finish her up on camera today. I don't think it should take too long. And then we're going to spatter them. Now I'm going to give these, as when they're finished, to my grandchildren. My grandson is 1.5 years old. Don't know what his favorite color is, so I just did this guy in green. My granddaughter is 4. Her favorite color is blue. So I'm going to do this little snow gal in blue. And on the video, I did mention about doing her nose black to make it look like coal. Not sure I'm a fan of that. But I'm not really sure what else I might do. Now, I paint on light bulbs and make ornaments out of them. I have one here. Let me see if I can get it unhooked. And I do a lot of their noses. I don't always do a carrot nose when I paint those. I kind of make just like a round circle nose. I'll show you in a minute if I can get this undone. Like this, just a little red cherry nose. So I think I might do that on her. Just make her have a little red cherry nose. And that might work. So I have my paint sitting here. I have my brushes ready. I'm going to do the same thing on the edging of her outfit. I'm going to put a little bit of blue on there so that it differentiates between her snow feet and the snowbank on her sweater. I'm not quite sure about her scarf. I think I mostly will keep her mostly blue. And I might do a darker blue on her mittens rather than doing a red. But let's see how it goes. I did want to show you on the back of the boy. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little tiny white dot. I don't know if that's going to focus. My focus is terrible. Here we go. A little tiny white dot right there. That is where I didn't get any black paint. And I cannot get that little bugger covered up. So what I'll do is I'll just tap that with a little bit of green and kind of rub that in then with a dry brush. But that's what I was saying on a few of the other videos. You want to make sure you get your base coat, if you're doing the black, on really very well. Watch your bisque. Make sure where the paint sucks in that you don't have any white spots, because when you come back to dry brush, those little buggers are so hard to get. So instead of covering that up, I wanted to show that to you. So make sure when you put on your base coat, you get a nice coverage. Okay. So the blue I'm starting to use for the little gal here is Calypso Blue by Deco Art. And I should have gotten something for a palette out, which I did not. So I'm going to work right on my work mat here. Put a little drip of paint down. I've got my paper towel and I've got my dry brush. You can see that I started a little earlier with her. This is just straight color right now. And if you're not too sure, I always say start on the back of your piece. Again, if you're using black as your base coat, you can always paint over it and start again. And what I'm doing is just tipping my paint, tipping my brush in that little puddle of paint and rubbing off most of it, so I just have a thin film of paint on my brush. And I'm just doing a light stroke back and forth over top of the piece, which has like this little like carved marks in it that gives it a roughness. Now, when you come around these smaller pieces with a lot of detail and color, I'm not going to worry too much about my fence right now. So I got some blue on the white. I didn't really want to do that, because I'm going to come in with a darker color and do that fence. I might even paint the fence. Just depends, you know, what you feel like doing. I'm definitely going to paint the little snowman on her sweater. Now, he's bigger than the snowman that's on the boy, but he still doesn't look so great. So, well, he doesn't look that bad. So I'm definitely going to paint his scarf. And probably his hat. What I don't know, what I can't really see very well, is there's something sticking out here. Maybe that's supposed to be his arm, but see, his other arm is here. And that's his scarf. I have a magnifying glass here somewhere. I should get that out. So I'm just coming around all these areas where I want the blue. In between those fence posts is not easy. Of course, I could get a smaller brush. But I already have this one dirty, so I'm just going to stick with it. And then I'm just going to do this until I get it to the way I like it. I'm going to do inside of her hood. I'm trying to decide what color I want her hair. Now, my granddaughter thinks she's blonde, but she's not really. To me, she's more of a light brunette, but she thinks she's blonde. So maybe I'll do the snow lady with blonde hair. Now, once you get that the way you like it, you want to go over it again with a highlight color. And what I decided is I wanted it to be the same tone as the blue that I'm putting on it. So rather than get a second color or a lighter color that I have, I'm going to use a little bit of white. So I'll have the same tone as my base color. So I'm tipping into both colors, because I want to make sure that blue stays on my brush, but I don't want it as dark. I'm going to start on the back, and I'm just going to do a few little highlights. I get busy working and then forget to make sure I'm in camera. And I'm just rubbing this over top of where I had the blue on my paper towel. And I'm not necessarily concerned about hitting the whole outfit. That's up to you. I'm just kind of trying to hit a couple of spots. So I'm going to add a little more blue on my brush, and then I'm going to tip it in some white. Coming around to the front here. There's something else going on back there. I think that maybe that's supposed to be like a field or something. One thing about base coating in black, it can be a little dicey trying to see what is in the piece. Now I think I want the upper part of the sky a little brighter, a little whiter, so I'm just adding a little extra white to bring that blue up a little bit. Kind of almost looks like the star beams shining down. Yeah, there's a little tiny ridge there, so I'm thinking that's supposed to be land or grass. I think I'm going to have to go to a smaller brush. I'm just going to put some white. This is a number 0, Snap by Princeton. And I'm just going to come in and hit that. So we have snow everywhere else. There's got to be snow in the field, right? So I'm just going in between that fence area. Now, if you're working on a piece and you want it to be really contrasted and you don't want a dry brush, you can just paint those areas in. You know, that would look great too. This brush is losing a lot of hair. Or bristles, I guess I should say. A little more white. I'll make that a little brighter up around the stars. And then there was a spot, oh, right here. There's a spot there where I got some blue. I didn't want blue. I wanted real white. So I'm just going back over that. And then you just continue the process until you get it to look the way you want. Got a little bit of blue there. I'm going to do the top of the snowman's hat, sweater snowman. Now the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to put a little color, a little blue, a little hint of blue on the trim of her outfit. So I'm going to go back into my blue and a little bit of my white, and I'm just going to mix that till I like what I see. And then again, I'm taking off most of the paint, and then I'm just going to put a little hint of blue on her trim, her sleeve, around the bottom of her parka. And then around her face on her hood. A little more white, I think, on the edge here. Try to make that pop. Okay. Let's see. I want to do a darker blue on her gloves. So I'm going to choose, well, I don't know if that'll kind of, because the blue I chose kind of has like a, to me, like a little hint of turquoise to it. Maybe I'll just change my mind, kids, and I'll go with purple. Purple will work. I have this aubergine eggplant color by Folk Art. I'm going to use that. It's a little darker. Maybe I'll do her scarf that color as well. So I'll put out a little bit of paint. I'm going to switch to a different brush because I want this pure color. I don't want any blue underneath. And I could probably work most of it out but I have the brush, so I'm going to use it. This is also a snap brush by Princeton. I think these are a little, oh, these were the ones that were real long, and I snapped off the bottom. They were like the artist ones that have the real long handle. This is a number 2. So I'm going to go into that eggplant color, work most of it off on my paper towel. And again, you can use paper bag or paper towel. Excuse me while I take a sip of my coffee. I'm going to start on the back. Now this is going to be hard to see because it's a dark purple on black. So I'm not sure how much of this you're going to be able to tell until I start to highlight it. I'm going to go a little heavier. Sorry, out of frame there. Got to pay attention. And as soon as that paint starts to wear off on your brush and you're not getting anything, you just want to reapply. Just put it in your main color and then rub off the excess. I love me some eggplant color. Oh, I love this. Purple. I want to be careful around her chin because I don't want to have to redo her face. And get her other glove. And generally, I mean, you're putting a thin coat of paint on, and if you've worked with acrylic paints before, you know that they dry fairly quickly. So just make sure that when you go on to do a second coat or do your highlighting, that what you've already put on is dry, because what you'll do is you'll just wipe it back off. So you just want to be aware of that. And then to stay in the same tone of colors like I did with the trim, I've got the eggplant on my brush. I'm just going to go into the white, and I'm going to lighten that up a little bit. And of course, when you're dry brushing, you want to go across the grain of the piece or the area that you're working on. So when I'm dry brushing here, you can see that the grooves are going this way. I want to come across the opposite way. Get a little more white, just lightening up that eggplant color. Be careful around her face. Generally, when I go back and look at the video looks a little better than it does while I'm recording, so hopefully that will be the case today as well. And these little snow people, the detail's not real deep, so it's a little bit of a challenge. And as I'm looking at it, I really do kind of like the fence blue. I was going to go in and maybe make that gray or brown, but I think I might leave it blue because I really like that. Now I'm going to put out a little more white and try to brighten up that scarf just a little bit more. And I don't think I want to paint stripes in her scarf like on the boy. I might put some dots all over. I don't know. I love dots. So I'm just going to hit this maybe like right here in that one spot to kind of give it the idea of a little brightness. I'll do the tips there. A little bit of white on her glove. Okay. Now while I have that white out, I'm going to get my little stylus and let's just mess around here with these dots. I'm just taking my little stylus. It has a little tiny, no, this one's an old one. You can see it's bent. It's got two ends. See how much bigger this one is. So I'm just putting that dot on that little tiny, and I'm going to just start putting some dots on her scarf. Just random. And because I don't care if the dot is the same size, like if you're doing a set of eyes, you want the white reflection mark in one eye the same size as the other eye. At least I think most times you would. But something like this, I don't really care if the dots are the same size. So I'm not reapplying every time. Although you still want to be careful that you don't have too much buildup on your stylus. And again, you can use the end of a paintbrush, you can use a toothpick, you can use a pokey tool, you can use a straw, make little circles. Of course, for this piece, it would have to be a really mini straw, but I guess I should hold this up a little bit. And I'm basically just putting them where I think I would like to see them. Oops, went into the wrong color there. Went into the aubergine. I mean, this particular scarf really doesn't lend itself to dots, but oh, maybe I'll put some on the gloves. I hope you can't hear my stomach growling. Did it again. Excuse me. Now, really, you should probably do, if you're going to do any dot work like this, do it towards the end so you can set it aside and they dry, because they're basically little puddles of paint. So you don't want to stick your finger in them and smear them. But I got over anxious here and did the probably sooner than I should have. Now, to make everything coordinate, I'm going to do his hat in the aubergine, and I'm just going to use a regular haired paintbrush. This is a round. It's really beat up. It's a 3/0. I'm going to wet the brush before I put it in my paint because I'm just going to paint, and I'm going to, brace my finger and just paint his little hat. And then I think I'll just hit that with a little highlight once it dries. It's a very pretty color. Of course, I'm a purple girl. Green and purple. They're my favorites. I think I'm going to go ahead and do his scarf. Now I could really totally get carried away and put dots on his scarf too. But I'm not sure about that. We'll see how it looks. I do a little detail-y painting like that. I can't talk and paint at the same time. Sorry, kids. I'm going to see if I can, if my magnifying glass, oh, it is. It's right here. Let me see if I can see what that is supposed to be. Goodness, it almost looks like another scarf to me. It doesn't really look like his arm. Of course, it would help if the magnifying glass wasn't dusty. I'm going to give that a little wipe. Good grief, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's supposed to be his one arm, and that just, maybe whoever cleaned the piece didn't clean that out well. We're going to treat it like his arm. Okay. So she's looking kind of cute. Still not sure about her nose. So I'm going to take the smaller, what did I do with that? My smaller brush that has some white on it. I'll just highlight the little snowman's hat and scarf. I have my gold here, so I'm just going to use a little bit of gold on the stars. And again, I'm using a regular haired brush. This is the 3/0, putting it in water before I go into my paint. And again, don't do this. Don't go in your lid like I do. Put some out on your workspace. I'm just painting that on. Of course, I think you could dry brush it on too, but I want a little more of a solid look. Now I know when I do her cheeks, I'm probably going to get that on her nose. Let's do that so I can see what that looks like. I was thinking about doing the red. So let me put a little bit of this red out. This is, oh, I should tell you the gold. The gold's a deco art too, and it's called vintage brass. Actually, it really looks gold. And I got this on clearance, so it's a nice gold color, really. And this one for the red, this is the red I used on the boy snowman. This is called True Red by Americana Deco Art. This is a fairly new paint that I have, so it's got that liquid, clear liquidy stuff at the top. You really have to shake it to get your paint mixed in. So now, because there's white on my brush, because ideally when you start a piece, you want to work from your dark colors to your light colors. And then as you use the colors, you work them through your brush. But I use this to do some highlighting and to do the little snowman on there. So I want the red. I don't really want a pink yet. Let me get a clean spot here on my paper towel. So I'm just putting some red. Let's see which way I need to get into frame. And it's turning it into a really light red. So because I'm just working that white out. And then I'm going to use more red. And I want a real light film because I'm not sure I'm going to, well, I can paint over it. So the nose on this piece is real smooth. There's really nothing to grab your color on. I'm going to do her cheeks this color. I don't know. She's just a little funny looking with that big fat nose. I'm going to put my little highlights in her eyes. Maybe that'll help. Not so much. I guess she's cute enough. I need a color for her hair. I'm going to put a little black out so I can, sorry, I've got my camera hanging so low because, again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but of course different people watch the videos. I don't watch them all. I can't figure out how to get my Zoom to work. So I'm going to paint a black nose and eyes on the little snowman on the sweater. So trying to make it look like just little spots of coal. And then I'm going to use my stylus and try to get in there with the black for the mouth on this guy. And somewhere I have some brown. And I'm just going to paint his arms on. So they look like maybe little branches. Okay. And I need some green for my Christmas tree on her sweater. I want to put some more red on her nose because that's not really showing up very well. Probably should have painted her nose red. Although red is really a hard color to get a nice coverage on. Oh, I can't forget her hair. I have to do her hair. All right, let's get some green. I love the little boy. I love the green. And this is Avocado by Americana. Of course, like I said, green's my favorite color, so you can't go by me when it comes to green because I'll always pick green. So I'm just picked up my blue, the brush I had the blue on, and I'm just picking up some of that color, again, out of the lid, which I should not do because I think it contaminates what's in the bottle. I'm trying to be better at it with my newer colors. These are old colors. This guy's almost empty. You shouldn't do it, okay? I'm making excuses. You just shouldn't do it. So I'm going to put some of that, oh boy, I just love green. Put some green on that little tree. I really want to get the tip of that tree. Got a little bit of blue on there. I did that a little heavier because I really wanted that to stand out. Now I'm going to go into my white and lighten that up. You could use a lighter color green, a different tone of green, which, you know, is fine. Would look great, but I'm just going to use the green I have and just highlight that a little bit. Now I was thinking about making her head gold. Her hair, not her head. And I don't have any more small brushes. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to rinse out my dry brush. Because for me to wash this and then wait to come back, you know, just doesn't, it's just not going to work. So I'm drying this out really well on my paper towel, and then I'm going to hit this with my heat gun and dry those bristles. So if you do this, just be careful that you don't burn your fingers because the heat gun really gets hot. So hold on, heat gun noise. Woo, just get hot. All right, so I'm going to pick out a, let's see, like an ochre color, I think. A true ochre. True Ochre by Americana. Can you see this label? Do you see how old this paint is for me? Look at the crack. But hey, it's still good. It lasts forever. This stuff lasts forever, which is great. And of course, you can use it on all kinds of projects. I've been painting on upcycled handbags and eye clip cases, wallets. I just bought a pair of shoes. Well, actually boots, leather boots. I'm going to paint on a leather boot. See how that works. I'm excited about that. Still trying to decide what kind of pattern I want to put on it. Anyway, okay, so I've got my newly dried dry brush, and I'm going to put some of the yellow ochre on my brush. Okay, we're at 43 minutes. I don't know why I feel like I can do this quicker, but it just takes time, doesn't it? And I'm just going to put a little bit of yellow on her hair for my beautiful little granddaughter who thinks she's a blonde. And then I'm going to use a little bit of white, brighten that up a little bit and highlight that. Just trying to see what else I think we need to do. I think this is just about done. Oh, I want to show you the Hot Shot. Well, it's not Hot Shot. I keep saying that. I think that might have been a different brand. I'm not sure. The fiery red neon color. Okay, so again, I'm just putting my yellow brush back into the white, putting that, and I'm not making it white because I want some of that yellow ochre. And I'm just going to highlight her hair a little bit. I have to tell you that when I did the first video and started on these, I didn't really like them so much. But you know what? It turned out really cute. Somewhere I thought I still had. Well, I guess I don't. I guess I had the red in this small brush. So I'm just really going to wipe this off as much as I can. And I'm going to take a little bit of this Fiery Red Neon by Americana. Okay, this one's liquidy. Sometimes some of these other brands and the other neon colors I have, like the Apple Barrel, they don't mix real well. They're kind of chunky when you use them. But this one's pretty good. So I'm just going to put a little teeny tiny bit out if I get it right and don't squeeze too hard. Let me get a clean spot on my paper towel. Tapping in my brush, and I'm just going to work that through. Oh my gosh, this is like such a cool color. I hope you can really see that. It's so cool. You cannot even believe what this does to red in person when you highlight red. Like if you were doing, gosh, when I painted on wood and I would do, say, a pair of mittens or a hat on a Santa Claus, and you wanted a real bright highlight, and you just dry brush this on, and man, or float the color on, it just really looks great. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to just do the tip of her nose off to the side here, just to the right a little bit. I hope you can see that. Let me see. Look, this camera gets to focus. I don't think it's focusing very well. Maybe if I make it blurry. It really is cool. And of course you could add some white on there to make it a little bit brighter, but I kind of like it that way. So I think I'm pretty much going to call her done and him done. So we have our two little snow people. And there they are. Really, they look adorable. But then I was thinking, when I had a happy little accident and I sprayed and got a little spattering spray mark on these, it gave me an idea to spatter them when they were finished. So I'm going to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white that I have down. I'm going to pick a, let's see, I just brought one in from the kitchen, a floppy, long, heavier, see how terrible I am with my brushes? That's just terrible. That's because I left it sitting in water. Don't do that. As my grandson says, no, no, no. Okay. So this is a number 2 liner brush. But I think I'll be able to spatter with it okay. I hope so. Anyway. So I'm going to start with the back, face down. Okay, kids, on your tummies. And I'm just going to add a lot of water to my white paint and get that kind of like an inky consistency. And I'm always looking for something dark to spatter on, like a piece of scrap paper. I'll use this purple. Oh my gosh, that looks blue on camera, but this is purple. And then all I'm going to do is just tap my brush and get little spots like that. And that's what I'm going to do over my piece for my little snow kids. And maybe it'll look like they're in a snowstorm. Now, if you wanted to, you could do black and white or just black, depending on, you know, your project. Now, the thing of it is that there are, again, little puddles of paint. So I don't want to grab those with my mitts. So I'm going to use my, my heat gun to dry those little spots so I can flip them over. Some of the bigger spots, even this, unless I sit for a couple of minutes, it's not going to dry it, but this will dry it enough so I can grab them and turn them over. Now, when you do this technique and you're flicking your paint and spattering, you really should either put it in a little box, take it outside, because really the spatter gets everywhere and you don't think it does, but it does. So I'm just gonna hopefully not smear this. Roll them over. And I don't particularly want their little faces spattered. So what I do in that case, you just take a little piece of paper and cover up where you don't want the spatter. I don't think the paper is going to work for him because his face is a little different. I'm going to take a piece of this paper toweling. It's a little more pliable. And I'm going to cover his little face because I don't want white specks on their face. You might not even really see it that much, but just to be on the safe side. And you want to make sure, always test your little spatter dots because you don't want them to be too liquidy, because then they run. And if it's too thick, it won't tap off your brush. So again, it's a learning curve, but if you've got a piece of scrap paper nearby, and you know, I want to get his little earmuffs, I'm just turning him a little bit. And I really probably could have used some more paint. Like really, I mean, this is getting all over my keyboard, so now I got to clean my computer again. But you know what? That's how I am. It just... Now, I didn't really get his hat very much because of the way the piece curves and the way I had it laying down flat. So I didn't get much on his scarf either. Of course, I get anal about this stuff. So, you know, if you're going to do this, you may not want to go to this length. Sometimes I use a Post-it note because it has a little bit of sticky on there and it can stick to the spot. And I want to do his hat. Got his earmuff. Got his glove. Now, the other trick to this is, if you're nervous about getting it someplace where you don't want it, if you spray them with your acrylic sealer first and then put your spatter on, you can wipe off if it gets someplace where you don't want it. And then you just respray it when you have it the way you want. There's usually a way to get around everything. I'm just going to get her sides a little bit. Well, I think that looks real cute. Of course, I got a little bit on her, a little dot on her face. Let's see if I can wash that off with my damp brush. Yeah, pretty good. So there you have it. These are my dry brush snow people. I think my grandchildren will love them. Of course, we'll have to put them up where they can't get them and break them and get hurt, but they turned out real cute. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope maybe give you a few tips and things that you can try on your own. If you do, I would love to hear about them. Please message me, subscribe to my channel. If you would give me a thumbs up, that's always a big help for me. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time on my next video. Thanks for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye. I guess I should.